Judgement in Heaven by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. Athwart the sod which is treading for God, the poet paced with his splendid eyes. Paradise verdure he stately passes, to win to the Father of Paradise. Through the conscious and palpitant grasses of intertangled relucent dyes, the angels a-play on its fields of summer, their wild wings rustled his guides' simars, looked up from disport at the passing corner, as they pelted each other with handfuls of stars. And the warden spirits with startled feet rose, hand on sword, by their tethered cars. With plumes night-tinctured and globed and cinctured, of saints his guided steps held on, to where on the far crystalline pale of that trans-stellar heaven there shone the immutable Crocian dawn, effusing from the Father's throne. Through the reverberant Eden ways the bruit of his great advent driven, back from the fulgent justle and press, with mighty echoing so was given, as when the surly thunder smites upon the clanged gates of heaven. Over the bickering gonfalons, far ranged as for Tartarian wars, went a waver of ribbed fire, as night sees on phosphoric bars, like a flame-plumed fan shake slowly out their ridgy reach of crumbling stars. At length, to where on his fretted throne sat in the heart of his aged dominions the great Triune, and Mary nigh, lit round with spears of their hauberked minions, the poet drew in the thunderous blue involved dread of those mounted pinions. As in a secret and tenebrous cloud, the watcher from the disquiet earth at momentary intervals beholds from its ragged rifts break forth the flash of a golden perturbation, the travelling threat of a witched birth. Till heavily parts a sinister chasm, a grisly jaw, whose verges soon, slowly and ominously filled by the oncoming plenilune, supportlessly congest with fire, and suddenly spit forth the moon. With beauty, not terror, through tangled error of night-dipped plumes so burned their charge, swayed and parted the globing clusters, so, disclosed from their kindling marge, roseal chapleted, splendent vestured, the singer there where God's light lay large. Hoo-hoo! A wonder, see! Clasping the singer's glories clings a dingy creature even to laughter, cloaked and clad in patchwork things, shrinking close from the unused glows of the seraph's versy-coloured wings. A rhymer, rhyming a futile rhyme. He had crept for convoy through Eden ways, into the shade of the poet's glory, darkened under his prevalent rays, fearfully hoping a distant welcome, as a poor kinsman of his lays. The angels laughed with a lovely scorning. Who has done this sorry deed in the garden of our Father, God? Mid his blossoms to sow this weed in? Never our fingers knew the stuff, not so fashioned the looms of Eden. The singer bowed his brow majestic, searching that patchwork through and through, feeling God's lucent gazes traverse his singing stoling and spirit too. The hallowed harpers were fain to frown on the strange thing come mid their sacred crew. Only the singer that was earth, his fellow earth and his own self knew. But the poet rent off robe and wreath, so as a sloughing serpent doth, laid them at the rhymer's feet, shed down wreath and raiment both, stood in a dim and shamed stole, like the tattered wing of a musty moth. Thou gavest the weed and wreath of song. The weed and wreath are solely thine, and this dishonest vesture is the only vesture that is mine. The life I textured, thou the song. My handicraft is not divine. He rested o'er the rhymer's head, that garmenting which wrought him wrong. Of flickering tissue argentine, down dripped its shivering silvers long. Better thou wovest thy woof of life, than thou didst weave thy woof of song. Never a chief in saintdom was, but turned him from the poet then. Never an eye looked mild on him, mid all the angel myriads 10. Save sinless Mary, and sinful Mary, the Mary titled Magdalene. Turn yon robe, spake Magdalene, of torn bright song, and see and feel. They turned the raiment, saw and felt. What their turning did reveal, all the inner surface piled with bloodied hairs like hairs of steel. Take, I pray, yon chaplet up, thrown down ruddied from his head. They took the rosial chaplet up, and they stood astonished. Every leaf between their fingers, as they bruised it, burst and bled. See his torn flesh through those rents, see the punctures round his hair, as if the chaplet flowers had driven deep roots in to nourish there. Lord, who gavest him robe and wreath, what was this thou gavest for wear? Fetch forth the paradisal garb, spake the father, sweet and low, drew them both by the frightened hand, where Mary's throne made irised bow. Take, Princess Mary, of thy good grace, two spirits greater than they know. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.